Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Cancer. If Cancer is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. All right. So we have the star card tonight. I'm just going to go ahead. We'll take a look at these tea leaves. And so I'm just going to say from the very start here, and if you watch this channel, you know the last few months since around Christmas, I would say, we've been getting sick on and off constantly. And I say we because my husband, who is over at Dove and Serpent Tarot, that is my husband Paul, he's also having some issues right now as well. So we've all had kind of the stomach bug going through the house, and kind of explains why I was having headaches a few days ago. But yes, anyways, so just bear with me. I'm feeling a lot better. I am feeling better, but I might not be as lively as I usually am. Okay, so also, if you have not subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next video is coming out. It is free to subscribe. Okay. So I'm looking at this, and immediately I see we have a J, we have an E, but also we have an O up here. So it almost looks like Joe. Or any combination of these letters, or maybe, separate words, but these seem like important letters. J-O-E. Okay. So let's see, what else do we have? Okay. So I see we have a fox up here kind of running. You can see his cute little ears, his little nose. We have a person over here with their hand raised, kind of, I almost feel like going, kind of hollering at this fox, right? Out there making sure that wily little thing stays out of the chicken coop, right? And I said coop. And then we have a little flower here. And we have the Ace of Cups over here with a bird next to it. So I do feel like there's just been such a investment in this period of your life you're coming into. I think that you have been working towards this. Now, I think most of the time, a great portion of the time, it has been a dream. Okay? This is something that you've been thinking about for a good part of your life. I feel like this is maybe like the second cycle of your life. The real adult part, right? And so I think that you had goals. You had a lot of dreams. You had a lot of goals. You worked hard as a younger person. And I think you succeeded, probably. But I don't know that it really ended up being exactly what you wanted. I think the circumstances also kind of didn't align for this to become something super long-term. Okay, so I'm thinking of maybe like you went to college, you got a degree in something that you were thinking was going to be your lifelong work. And once you entered the field, you maybe had trouble finding a job that paid enough, or applying that degree to something that, really made you feel impassioned, or, whatever it was. And I think that maybe you decided, yeah, I'm gonna do something else. And you had dreams about, maybe where you live, the kind of relationships you might have, what kind of career or passion that you would be able to explore parallel to the work you were doing that was producing resources for you. I think you went into a period of time where you've been more practical. Okay, and I think that happens to us as we get older. Sometimes we have to do the thing, to figure out, like, how am I going to make a good living for myself, or a decent living? What are my living circumstances going to be that make sense, that are going to, make this so it's livable, but it's also where I can begin to think about maybe that third part of my life when I get older, and I hope to retire, or, travel, or whatever it is that you're going to do. And so I feel like you're in there, and you're doing better than you thought you were going to do. I think that you actually enjoy the work. I think the work to make resources, whatever your career is. I don't think it's maybe the love of your life. Okay, I'll just be frank about that. I don't think it's the love of your life. I actually think that, when I'm looking at this, it makes me think that it seems a bit chaotic for you. But I do think what it has helped you do is build a home, a space that is for you, where you can kind of retreat to. And in this space, you can follow your passions. I think that you dream of being able to be sufficiently funded enough so you can spend most of your time in this place, right? And I don't know exactly what your hobbies or loves, or maybe you're an artist or whatever it is. But I think that this is the big dream, right? And that makes sense. Don't we all want to be able to, quit our jobs and do the things that we want to do all day long? Definitely. But, I think that I'm seeing with the fox, and it's the little tickle that you get once in a while, the itch to quit that job, and just kind of focus on the things that you want to focus on all the time. And I think that it's probably not feasible unless you're willing to probably really, live a very minimal lifestyle, which maybe would be wonderful for you. But I do think that, you recognize this, and it's almost kind of like trying to tell yourself, don't get carried away. Don't get into the funk of negative thinking. I don't like this job that I'm doing. I can't believe this is where I ended up. Why did I go to school for what I went to school with? I should have focused, all these would-haves, could-haves, should-haves. And I think, ultimately, I think that you're pretty aware that, hey, listen, okay, I'm doing my best right now, and it's pretty darn good. Don't lose sight of how much you have done. Don't lose sight of the things that you do enjoy in the work that you are doing. It probably, I imagine, gives you some amount of latitude within the work, but also maybe your schedule, maybe, and I know any Cancer hearing this might agree, shake your head, yes. Maybe you get to be like a remote worker, and I know that, well, I don't know, but I imagine, right? I'm guessing a lot of Cancer people excelled at remote working. And so, I think this is a good reminder. Just let's stop for a second. Okay, let's not get away from the positives here. Let's even just sit down and make a list if we have to. All of the things that you have done, that you've accomplished, that you didn't think you would be able to, where you are proud of yourself, your victories. And, sometimes the things that went wrong, but you know what? They led to something that was beautiful and wonderful and ended up being quite a blessing. And I think that this is where we fill our cup. And it is the bird there, the messenger. We have to talk to ourselves in a way that is like, kind of giving us the old pep talk and recoding our mind, getting in there and reprogramming ourselves with these positive affirmations, with the gratitude. Life is so much about perception. Now, let me say, I know that bad things happen. There are so many, everything is out of our control. Okay, not something, everything is out of our control, ultimately. We live in absolute chaos. We're really good at looking for patterns and order and something that makes sense, so that our brains can do something with all the information we're constantly, experiencing. And so, everything is out of our control, but you have to remember that, you are succeeding and you're alive. You are the sum of so many random things having to align in such a perfect and most sacred and divine way that you would even be manifest. Consciousness with body. And you've survived all of these days of your life and you are here. And maybe soon it will be the time to do something else. And you will know when that time has come. But you also know when you are self-sabotaging, when you are getting into that kind of stinking thinking, as we say in AA, which I'm in recovery. I like to tell everyone, no. I use some of the phrases and cliches. So I know some of you probably hear and you're like, oh, hey, she's a friend of Bill. I am. So, don't let that thing pull it all apart, because we're so good at that, aren't we? Finding the things that's like, it's like pulling the thread at some beautiful tapestry that we've created, a beautiful tapestry of our life. And we're just going to pull it apart because, right now we don't like this one thing. Okay, so we have, it looks like a dog, right? Here's the nose, here's the eyes, the head, here's the body. It looks like a dog. So I think that you have some, when I see the dog, I often think this is somebody who is a really good friend to you. as we know, dogs are man's best friend, or so they say. Maybe it's cats, I don't know. I'm not biased or anything. But I do love dogs. I just haven't had one as an adult. One day I hope. But anyways, yes. So I look at this and I look at the symbols of the dog, and I think more usually it is an indicator of a human companion, counterpart, somebody who is very supportive of you. And we have this very large formation. So I do think in this time, they're playing an important role in your life. And I think that probably it's also a good time to kind of go over some of these things with them. Talk to them. Talk about how you're feeling. I know that it's not the easiest for Cancers to really get into that place of being open and it's not even about being vulnerable. I think that you all are good at being vulnerable. But I think just getting to that sharp of whatever this is, and I think it's important for you to talk it out, to have somebody that you can go and say, hey, I'm feeling, I'm feeling like whatever I'm doing isn't making sense right now. I feel like I want to make a big decision, but I need to talk to somebody about it. And I think this is your person who, if you know it or not, if you have confided in them in the past or not, but this is definitely your person who is going to be there for you, who is going to, they'll support you, but I think in a way that makes you feel really heard, not judged. And I also think that, and this is my little tidbit about these kinds of conversations. Don't do it on text. Okay? Try to get on the phone or face to face, whatever it is, video call, talk to them with your own voice. I think that it's important in these kinds of communications when we are sharing these parts of ourselves. It's important to be able to utter these things, to let them out of ourselves. It feels a lot different to type something out on text than say it aloud. I really believe that. And I think that there's something magical about putting something into words that we can, let go of the sounds. Okay. And so, yes, I think this is an important task here. And that is just to share a part of yourself with somebody you love. Let them in a little bit. Okay. Now, it looks like we have an owl. You can see right here the head, the body, the feet, maybe a wing kind of coming up. And so we're still in this phase of contemplation. I really have been contemplation so much. I think it's something that none of us do enough, right? I think it is important for us to spend some time going over things. And I don't mean like anxiety thinking, like, it's 1 a.m, you're trying to go to sleep, you're thinking about all the bills and, did I make this appointment? I can't remember, it's not on the calendar, we all have those moments. And that's not what I'm talking about. That's not. I think it's important for us to think about, just whatever it is. If it's something super existential, if it is something like, oh, last night I was pretty sick and I was finally feeling a little bit better. I had been listening to George Norrie, who is from Coast to Coast AM. But he's also, they've had a lot of documentaries, and I think it was like Skinwalker Ranch and the other one with, I always forget his name, Lazar or whatever, the UFO guy. So anyways, they were talking about jellyfish UFOs, right? And I've said this on my other readings. I'm a huge Coast to Coast girl. I've been into Coast to Coast and all of the many things, all the high strangeness and UFOs and, whatever, which I'm sure is not surprising, but I've been listening to it since I was a young teenager. And so anyways, I was listening to this last night, and I was up for like an extra 30 minutes or so, really contemplating, what does it mean for something to appear so organic and alive, but it's, kind of laid over our reality, these interdimensional crafts or whatever they are. Maybe they're just large intelligences. I don't know. But I think it's important for us to think about things, right? I think it's important to contemplate things. I think it's important for us to go down mental rabbit holes. We must keep our brains working in these ways, right? And so if you have trouble thinking, of prompts, there are plenty of, you could look up like thought experiments or prompts for writing or contemplation or philosophical questions and, whatever it is. I think it absolutely, when you spend time in that interior dialogue place, considering things that, they affect you, but they also are just matters of, the collective or the whatever, the philosophizing being and existence and so on. This is a muscle that is not used as often as we should, right? And it's something that it really does hit all of the markers. It is the physical, the brain, it's emotional and spiritual or, quantum. And so I see the owl and I think, yeah, definitely. We are in this phase of going on little trips into our mind, right? Going into those interior landscapes, seeing what we can see, experiencing what seems uncanny, what maybe seems to drift, far, far away from the right now. But it's all woven into it, right? The more that and it's not even just about learning, like mastering everything that you come across. It's just considering it, experiencing it. I remember reading once that, and this is said the same way in many philosophies and especially like magical systems, is that when we experience something new or we perceive it to be new, a concept that we have not experienced before or thought of before, when we bring these things into our mind, okay, so then they become alive in our lives. So I think it's really important for us to explore as vastly as we can so we can create the most beautiful and lush and thriving landscapes of our lives. And the interesting thing too is when you come in contact with ideas, and then they begin to really become so apparent in your life. You see them everywhere. You see symbols. You see, if you witness a new deity, it's maybe not new in the world, but new to you, you start to see it everywhere, right? Whatever. Numbers, patterns and so on and so on. So this is a good time to kind of decide, what are you going to breathe life into your life? What are you going to breathe life into your life? Yes. What concepts, what constructs, what, as Burroughs would say, language viruses. But yeah, what are you going to manifest from the abstract into the world around you? Okay, and I wanted to look, we have a 12. And we had the Joe or Joe. Okay, and then let's look over here. It looks like we have a swan, and we have a 3. I think it's a 3. So the swan, I, usually would say this is like a loyalty, a love, an undying passion or union. And it could be those things. But I also think of kind of this distorted state of almost kind of an obsessive love. A singular fixation that is so great that it distorts everything else. And I think this goes along with this idea of contemplation, or at least deciding what you are going to think about. What kinds of things are you going to spend time with? And so if you are a person who does become somewhat fixated or obsessive or very devoted and impassioned, I think it's important to, of course, be discerning about this, but now we've talked about on some of the readings the idea of sublimation, which is where we take these big feelings, and often it's talked about as things that are deviant or dangerous, like violence, right? The urge towards violence, which is really a natural instinct in animal and human. But as we evolve, supposedly, I guess, we have controlled ourselves as much as we supposedly can. And so we use things like sublimation to put, I have these dark yearnings or instincts or whatever. So I put that into art instead of acting these things out. I put that feeling into what I am creating versus succumbing to these things. Now, I think this also can be true of things that we would consider positive, but we don't necessarily implement them into our lives. Okay? So I think whatever this is, this thing that you are, it is a beloved of yours, whatever it is, I think that something to consider is putting it into some kind of creative project. Writing about it, painting, making music, whatever it is that you do. Or if you don't, maybe exploring some of these creative outlets. And then we have the 3. So I don't know. The 3 is kind of on its own there. That might be an important number to you. Okay, let's see. We have the divine doors. Behind every door lies adventure, mystery, and inspiration. Well, I like adventure and mystery. I do like having a bit of inspiration. It does not hurt. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to stop where it feels right. Okay, gorgeous. Divine Guardian, do not be nervous today or tonight. The path you are on will lead you just right. Yes. Your guardian angel is there with you. All right, Cancer, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you, and I do. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, for putting up with my sickiness. I couldn't even film last night. I was going to film these readings. They're coming out a day late because I just felt like a shell of a person. I just was, I could not even think straight. So I appreciate you being patient with me. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help so much. And what else? If you haven't subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I read them all, and they mean so much to me. They truly do. All right. I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk in just a few days. Goodbye.